I am not a hacker, but I'm an advocate for blue hat pathways where you find threats and keep threats from happening. But not a hacker.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We can find out. Don't make me mad. My name is Lindsey. I've been in San Angelo only since 2010. I actually came here on an accident. I started my life my career in Lubbock at Texas Tech, and I almost failed out, so I actually chose San Angelo to avoid failing out of college, and graduated, and I never left. And I've been here since. Created a really great telecom career, aligning nothing with my Bachelor's of Science degree, and work a lot in the community, do a lot of advocacy and volunteer work in this community. Been here a long time, feels like. So I started at Texas Tech as an aerospace engineer, and I went 2.5, almost 3 years, and I was struggling with the size of the school. I was struggling with making friends out there, ironic, and I was just gonna quit and transferred to Angelo State University. And at the time, in 2010, they did not have an engineering track of any kind that I could move my credits to, so I took the best thing, which was kinesiology. So I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in kinesiology, most factoring in sports medicine, so I wanted to actually work on professional athletes. And that's not what I do right now, at all. I took a job, actually, before I even finished college, I took a job at West Central Net. I was just an inbound call center person. I took trouble tickets. I did everything from, hey, sorry, your stuff's not working, do you reboot it, to scheduling, not scheduling, but there was like call flows where you could schedule people to get fixed, and someone else would take care of it. So I did a lot of the inbound calls, and I learned how to deal with different types of internet infrastructure, because West Central Net supported not just theirs, but they supported other clients around Texas. So they did DSL, they also did some fiber at the time, companies, they did everything. So I learned kind of real quickly different telecom strategies, and I never went back. I kind of went from there and excelled, I guess is a good choice of words. Who I am probably isn't a tough question, but I'm all over the place. I am a professional in the telecom community, but I also have intricate interests in everything from cybersecurity, industrial control domain systems, taking certifications that have nothing to do with my career. Oddly into Pokemon, and I like anything that has to do with telecom, but I also am a big advocate for community events, volunteer work, giving back, things that don't align really with telecom, but if you will see me at the rodeo giving every single night the same effort I would give to the work I do with the community and with my normal job. So I'm everywhere. I'm anything and everything that has to do with this town, if I can be. So as a VoIP specialist, I build with large enterprise clients, everything ranging from churches, banks, healthcare systems, large companies. I work with them to build out what they want when it comes to their voice system design and their networking. How a call would come in and where it goes, where it lands, and how it's married into the data part of the system, and how their VLANs are going to work. I help build all that, and I hand it off to an upper level who physically builds it in a cloud system, and then I go on site at install day, and I ensure that customer understands how everything works. I make sure the porting happens. I kind of am there from the start to the very finish, and I work with these customers for months and build a really strong relationship with them, and making sure that they don't miss calls and everything works together. And I know that sounds just kind of, calls doesn't sound very important, but when it's their entire business runs on, calling, whether it be inbound, outbound, customer service, it's really important that it's right, and it's right from the first time. So I take a lot of pride in building large, complex, multi-site voice network systems. I do some locations here in San Angelo, but I focus mainly on everything east of DFW to Shreveport. I worked as far as West Monroe, I've built things down into Natchitoches, Morgan City out by Louisiana, or New Orleans, Arkansas. I kind of cover anything and everything when it comes to voice design outside of San Angelo and some San Angelo. Surprisingly, in 2026, you would think a lot of these large enterprise companies have already transitioned into a smarter type of cloud, not on-prem PBX system, but there's still a lot of legacy systems out there that they believe sternly, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. They will die with that system, and that's okay. And that's what hopefully people like me and the company I work for now can help bring them into that newer age and give them more tools, give them more ability to use, say, mobile apps on their phones when they have remote employees. Give them more flexibility, give them a smarter system. These older analog key systems, you name it, they work, but they're functionally limited. These new hosted phone systems, you can do all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of neat to show them. They're like kids. They're like, oh, you can do that. You can see this. You can click that, and everything just changes for them, and it changes the mindset. It's mindset, a lot of it, more than it is technology. It's getting people to change their viewpoint on possibly difficult subjects, one of which is technology surrounding their business, phones, networks, you name it. West Central Net was mainly wireless telecom over 2G, 3G, and LTE evolution. So I've done everything from the cellular level, and then I went into a local company here in town, VGI Technology, and I worked in microwave, short range and long range microwave systems. That was a whole different level of things to understand. Same thing, it goes on towers, talks to a house, but the way it's delivered, how it talks, it's all different. It's a whole new learning experience. I've done microwave wireless internet as well. I've also done fiber, which is what I do now, but I also ran an ISP in Midland that built aerial and underground fiber for a while. So I've kind of touched anything that has to do with how to get internet from A to B and everyone it services in between. So it's kind of neat. I think the need for fiber in this area is important. It's needed anywhere. Rural communities should be served better, and the initiatives to bring that from our government level is really helping bring better internet to the area. There's also cost. The cost it takes to get fiber in the ground or in the air sometimes can be too much for some communities to handle. So that's where wireless comes in. It's easier to throw up something on a tower and communicate with a customer with a radio as opposed to trying to spend, $18 to $20 something a foot to get it in the ground to give them nominally higher internet. So I think fiber should be the way to go. There is no endpoint to it. It's not going to just phase out with how do you put that? Copper internet and cable internet, all that stuff had a phase point. It was done because it could only go so fast. It could only deliver so much. Fiber is going to be ever evolving. The infrastructure itself. Once you get it in the ground or get it on the air, it's going to be forever. I got involved with the rodeo committee. Well, let me backtrack. I was working the vendor section of the rodeo. So the vendor row, a lot of the little spaces that they had throughout the campus, and so I got to help build it and maintain it and fix it sometimes. So I was out there a lot, and I ended up falling in love with it, and I found ways to volunteer my time. Fast forward a couple years, so I've actually been out there since 2014. Fast forward a couple years, I met one of the ladies who is on the San Angelo Ninjas committee, or the rodeo committee, and she worked with me at BGI, and she's like, hey, if you want to get in on the committee, you should come to one of these meetings, and I did, and I've never left since. I've been there every year since 2016, 2017, I can't remember which year exactly I started officially on the committee, but I've been doing the ticketing committee since then, and I've never left. I was part of the Adult Literacy Council. I was a board member for them in the Permian Basin that covered Midland, Odessa for almost 5 years until it dispersed this year. We disbanded our Literacy Council this year, but I've been on the board with them for 5 years as an acting board member. We were running into issues with funding. As a nonprofit, we were running into issues getting funding to provide the literacy services to the community in Midland, Odessa. And the focus primarily was on people who needed to learn English. How could we get them the ability to learn English? And we centered a lot of it around getting their nationality, getting their United States citizenship. Here's how to learn English appropriately. Here's how to do these tests. Here's how to take the exams. Everything from learning how to read, because they didn't come from a home that either spoke English or they were in a workforce and they couldn't get a good job because they couldn't speak English, and we just couldn't find the resources and the funding to keep it going, which is really sad, because a lot of those communities out there and even here have a high rate of non-English speaking who want to but don't have a literacy. And even if it's not just English, it could be completely normal English speaking individuals who just want better literacy. It's actually very common that they don't have healthy literacy background. They don't know some good words other than hey and hi, but it wasn't there. I don't honestly remember how I got involved, except I think I attended a few meetings because of Todd Smith, and then I never left. It seems to be the running thing is I will go to things that interest me, and then I end up bleeding them. They become part of me, and I can't let it go. I do remember going to a few events after they had started, but before they kind of really went anywhere when it came to where they were actually going direction-wise. It means a lot to me to be a part of the CVTA because it can bring light to what technology can do for the community, what it cannot do for the community, and it can possibly bring light to the younger generation coming in, what they can do. Do they have to go to a 4-year? Can they go just to a trade school? How do they get into fields that they might be interested into without having to feel dumb for asking the questions? I find it really important to shed the factual light of technology onto this community in the appropriate way. I've learned San Angelo is a wonderful community when it comes to its personality. The community itself and the personality that this town has is very strong. It's rooted in value. It's rooted in what they believe in, and that's really important. But at the same time, I've learned, being part of the CVTA, that there's a lot of misconception of where growth can go. Growth is important. It can be too rapid and it can scare things, or it could be too slow, and then we have people leaving to go to larger communities to get better jobs. We can't be having our kids, spend 4 years here at Angelo State University and then having to go to the Metroplex just to get a decent job. So I've learned through the lens of CVTA that there's a lot of growth not happening here that I think needs to happen to provide a better stability for our generation and the younger generations, for our businesses, for our resources to really grow. We can't stay, I know people want it to stay this small forever, which is great, but we can't stay this small forever. We have too many great opportunities. We have wonderful colleges. We have Howard College. We have Howard College that provides wonderful trades and opportunities for kids that can keep them here, but we have to be able to we have to support them somehow, and we're not. San Angelo's kind of lacking that. What I've learned through the years with CVTA and through the community itself is there's a wonderful relationship and partnership between the Angelo State University and Howard in bringing kids, the technology resources they need, the job opportunities they need, and to keep them here. I believe CVTA isn't just the reason for it, but I believe it's the healthy path to keep it going, getting it out there that there are opportunities to do more things at Angelo State University than we could about 10 years ago. If I knew, and if I was a student 10 years ago and getting to see what they have now with the RSOC and with their engineering tracks, I wouldn't have to leave this town. I could get a good job. The resources are here. They're just not as obvious, and I think we need to make it more obvious that Angelo State and Howard really are supporting our kids, and we need to get them out there. I am not a hacker, but I'm an advocate for blue hat pathways where you find threats and keep threats from happening, but not a hacker. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. We can find out don't make me mad. So the data center convo, okay. I don't want to get my house burned down. So this is my own personal opinion, rooted in as best as professional basis as I can. The data center conversation has been very controversial. It has been either A, all bad, or B, all good, and there seems to be no in between. You get a lot of really loud from the really bad side, and you're not getting a lot from the possible good side. And you don't have to be either one, and there's a lot of people kind of sit in the middle. They have the smarts to know that there could be bad, there could be good, but the conversation's been so charged that I think a lot of really intelligent humans that could give good information are kind of stunted. They aren't going to speak because the conversation's been so charged that it's become things it shouldn't be. It should just be intellectual conversations, but it's turning into finger pointing and bashing and threats, you name it, and that shouldn't be that way. This is not a win the argument fight. This is making the best decision for a community, whether you be right or wrong. I feel like we're missing the whole point. We're missing the whole point of what's best for the San Angelo, not as you're right because you're loud and I'm right because I'm louder, right? I think that's where we're kind of sat right now. And it's kind of scary seeing what's evolved from technology, how people feel. It's interesting to see how deep they are with it, that it's created such a fear, or it's created such a famine of anger and things that I don't think should be existing right now. From what I know, and again, this is from personal conversations I've had, nothing based out of any professional thing I'm involved in. I'm not part of anything, but sitting down with some people who are in them. From what I understand, there's 2 facilities going in 2 different sides of town, one of which already has its possible tenants and one of which does not. Both facilities are operating with the same idea to provide data housing, for technology for multiple different clients and tenants, but both of which create a lot of fear for the people surrounding in those communities in the county. So I really only know there's only 2. So if there's more, I don't know that yet. I think the fear is the unknown. I think the fear is the growth. The fear is this sounds cool, we know we need it, we know we use it, we know our cell phones, we know our home internet, we know, we're not ignorant to the fact that our life revolves around the data, but we as a community probably are scared of where that rapid growth is going. Are these promises real? Is the transparency real? I think there's a lot wrapped around of uncertainty. They don't want it for whatever reason they're allowed to have. And that's just it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and that's okay. But when our city leaders and the people who are building these systems are coming here and facing us directly saying, hey, here's our facts, and a lot of the opposition still calling them liars and still saying it's not transparent, what more can you do? You can't force them to understand it and accept it. It's mindset, and that's okay. But what's best for San Angelo? What is best for us? That's the argument, not who's right, who's wrong. I think San Angelo is ready to, I think San Angelo can carry the weight of a large infrastructure. With that being said, there has to be check and balances. A facility like that takes a lot of resource. It does take power, it takes water, it takes people, it takes roads, it takes everything. Are we ready? I think so. With the regulation in place, or places, conversations of what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate. Every one of these centers are different. They're not cut and paste. They are not spec homes where you can say, same here, same here, same here. These are facilities that have the same idea, but they do wildly different things depending on what they need them for, how they are used in the community, what they give back to the community. We need to make sure we track that. We need to make sure that not only can we sustain it, but is it giving back to us in a region? The give back to our community would probably be the promises that our A, leaders, and B, the infrastructure itself claims to provide. Does it provide jobs? Does it provide tax break? Does it provide not damaging very natural and limited resources? are those promises going to be kept? The long-term sustainability of these systems, is there going to be give back? Are they just going to come in, build this, and leave the community with the bill at the end? Are we going to get screwed over, or are we actually going to make more money in the community, more jobs, more infrastructure growth internally and externally, better highways, better roads, better jobs? Are we actually going to get better things? We won't know. I think that's the unknown that people are scared of. I am pro-responsible development. I don't think I take a side either way. I'm not ignorant to the idea that it could be bad. I'm not ignorant to the idea that it could be all good. There is a middle piece here, and it revolves around everything that these facilities can bring us. The opportunities for these facilities isn't just what's inside the facility, it's also the ecosystem that develops it. It's always going to need somebody, and I think people are scared of what actually the long-term sustainability of these are. I don't think so if the data center conversation just ended tomorrow and we didn't end up getting any facilities, I don't think that's the end-all be-all for San Angelo. I would be disappointed that, yes, we probably missed out on a possible growth opportunity. But at the same time, if it was the best decision for this area and it was too much and we would get broken promises, then no, I would not be too hurt. I want what's best for this community just as much as anyone else does. So if it did end up dead in the ground tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. I'd be disappointed, personally, because I'd love to get in there and see what all the little things are. They wouldn't let me. I will find a way to get in that dang data center. I'm going to go be like, hey, I'll mow your lawn or something. So from what I know from the data center facility conversations, and again, this is all preliminary. This is not anything based out of hard fact numbers, but in open conversations we've had with the people who are part of them, what we're learning is they're going to need a nominal staff to build this, of course. There's also going to be a need for staff for operation, and then of course it's long-term lifespan. I think up to 300 people per shift at 3 shifts a day. That's anywhere up to 1,000 people a day needed just to run this facility. That's not including what's going to be needed to put this thing up, get this running. Just like your H-E-B and your Walmart, they might be monstrosities, but they need people. They need electricians. They need fiber people. They need construction crews. They're going to need HVAC networks. All that stuff has to happen for this A facility to keep running, for it to be built, and for its long-term longevity. Think of it like your H-E-B. If they have an HVAC system, who do they call? A trade. Data center, who do they call? They're going to need a trade. I think it's going to create a huge amount of people with sustainable long-term positions in this town. And I know the other fear was people coming from out of town. Granted, that's probably going to happen. I know a lot of these facilities have partnerships and contracts with companies to bring in construction crews. That is a necessary evil. We don't have the people here to do that. But what's good is I do believe from the conversations they are going to utilize local trades just as much as they are going to utilize out-of-town crews for the longevity of this. They might need more at the very beginning that aren't from here, but the sustainability of what's going to be here in San Angelo or the outside, it's going to be local give back. It's going to be your local plumbers, your local HVACs, your local fiber guys. Those are the people who are going to get these jobs to keep this thing running, I hope. The Abilene Data Center, it's kind of like a ghost story. The Abilene Data Center has been an interesting conversation because you hear things, you know things, you think you know things, but then I don't think a lot of people have actually gotten a decent understanding of the Abilene Data Center. I personally tried to go there the other day. I didn't try and break in or anything, but I did try and show up. They wouldn't let me in. So it's kind of like one of those weird, like, Area 51 type thoughts. Like, I have no idea. I don't know. And
so you just drove up?
I drove up to the gate, and I didn't have any reason to be there. And I was like, I just want to see it. I'm a local telecom professional back in Tom Green County. I'm curious. And they were like, no. Nope. So yeah, it's kind of like a ghost story. You hear all the talk and you hear the possibilities, you hear the theories, but we don't know. And that's not, I'm not saying that's what's really going on, but I think because we're here and they're there, it's a lot of hearsay. The one in Abilene, I believe, is comparably larger than the one that would be getting here in San Angelo. From, again, ghost story here, what I'm being told is the one in Abilene would be almost 2 times bigger than the 2 combined here. Or it is bigger. It will be nominally bigger than the ones we have here together. But again, who knows until it's done. The hyperscale data center combo across the country. It does look like that. So, okay, the more you're in on the internet, you see, okay, there's a new county with a new AI center, right? New county with a new data center. You see all the conversation that's like almost every county in Texas is getting one, or every city and state in America seems to be getting one. Technology is moving, whether we like it or not. Technology is growing, and it's obsolete from what you knew yesterday. Everything you do with technology is obsolete by the next day. We are moving rapidly, and whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. Your kids are already on board. They're already utilizing the AI system, the technology things that we don't know. I mean, I grew up on a 56K dial-up, but my daughter is learning things that I'm just now getting on board with. So the idea that she could change my viewpoint on something that, say, if I wasn't on board, she has the tools to be like, hey, actually pretty cool. It does all these things. We're scalably moving north on the technology spectrum in the world. And at that degree, we're still behind when it comes to, I believe, China or other fun places over there. We are way far behind. And I think it's necessary to scale up, but I don't think it needs to be as fast as... We don't need one in every city. We don't need one in every county. We don't need one in every state, but we do need them. Now, where and why? I think that's still the conversation. I know every county looks great on paper to have one, but it's not necessary. There's going to be counties that are better suited for it, and there's counties that they don't need it. Just to put one there is kind of dumb. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is scary. It's scary to see a news article every single day online and be like, this county, this county, this county, this county, all get a new data center, and they're like, we just have cows here. Like, why do we need a data center? But it can be kind of intimidating. But I think we are moving every single day 2 times faster than we were the day before. And if we don't keep up, we're going to be behind. It's our mindset. It's our kids' mindsets. It's their careers, their lives, and their kids' generations below us. Their lives are going to be the ones dictated by what we decide now.